Alright, folks, we are back. So we got in. So I was looking for sales because I see price created equal lows here on Asia and London lows, pretty much almost equal lows, and I'm expecting price to come down to there. I mean, I'm not gonna take my profits all the way down there. Now, when price opened, we took London highs, and then we just kept on taking all these red lines are all pretty much liquidity grabs. We kept on grabbing liquidity grabs, and I saw this entry right here. We inversed this gap right here. I pretty much enter off of that and put my stops above this area. Now it's a little bit scary right now in the position that we're in because we just touched this gap here. So hopefully we can inverse it. If we can't inverse it, then it's probably going to stop us out. And if we do get stopped out, we're going to call it a day because today is FOMC. And by the way, welcome back to Unemployed to Full-Time Trader. I couldn't talk because I was on the phone, but yeah, I took this trade just now. Let's see how it plays out, if it does play out even. And I think might take profits. I mean, I want to say it's down here, but I don't know. I don't know if they will be down there. You know, it kind of depends. I'll see what the vibes are. I'm definitely gonna put my TP here though, because I don't really want to hold it any longer than this. Doesn't make much sense for me. But let me see. Let me just set it up here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we have set that up, and yeah, now we just kind of wait. Right now, what I'm looking for price to do to basically give us that confirmation that it is gonna play out is just inverse this gap here. Inverse this gap. But if it doesn't, I do have to call it because again it's FOMC today. And right now we're actually at all-time highs, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, not yet. We're about to reach all-time highs. I wonder if FOMC is gonna break those highs. Oh, that's a good stretch. Wow. So yeah, just looking for this. We'll see what happens. I'm really curious to see if it does break below here. I feel like if it does, I could maybe add a position, just break even on this one. We'll see. We'll see what the vibes are. I mean, if I do get in here, where would I have to put my stops? I'd have to put them. I guess it depends where these candles go, but somewhere around these areas, that's kind of a big stop. Because basically right now I'm about to lose the funded account. I'm pretty much, well, okay, I have two accounts. I have a 100k account, which I'm doing the challenges for, right? So I'm still on phase 1 on that. And then I have a full funded account, which I completed phase 1 and phase 2. Which that one is, that one is funded. But I pretty much have like another, if I do lose this one, I probably have like another 3 good trades in me on that 10k account. But on my 100k account, I probably have like 2 more trades in me. Like if I lose this one, I probably have like 1 more trade to be able to save it. So yeah, let's see what happens here. It's pretty important that this trade does play out. If it doesn't, probably cooked for my 100k account. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably cooked, but it's fine. I'm gonna be honest. I do deserve to lose this account. Just the way that I've not even been trading, but just the way that I've managed my risks has been pretty horrible. I've broken my risk management like multiple times. It's pretty bad stuff. I'm not gonna lie. So I mean, in terms of like me losing this account, am I worried about it? I mean, it sucks. It definitely does suck, right? But I deserve to lose it just because, man, like I've been disrespecting my risk management rules for so long, and it's like I've been getting away with it, right? But like eventually that's gonna bite you in the butt, and here we are about to lose the account, right? So I'm okay with it because I know it's my fault. I know what I have to do. I know what I have to improve on. for this to not happen. Because it basically, guys, bro, last week I was up 4%. Like, think about this. I was up 4% on the account, which, it's not a huge amount, but still something, right? Within like 2 days, or like within like maybe 2 to 3 days. So I think, yeah, I was up 4% when I started the week. I think the first day I took a W on Monday, and the rest of those days I pretty much started taking L's. And I think I took like one day where I made like a small percentage, but my L's were so big. Like, I was losing 3%, 3 point something percent. Like, of course I'm gonna be in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm losing that, like, there's no reason for me to be losing 3% in a day. Like, that's just not a thing. Another thing is, like, I've always said, and I've always had this in my risk management, I just never followed it. I've always said, okay, I'm only gonna take one trade a day, because this is kind of like pattern recognition, right? The pattern is that when I do take my first trade, when I do take an L, typically I'm emotional, and I take the next trade emotionally, and I over leverage because I'm trying to make back whatever I lost on that other trade, plus make some on top, right? And what that leads to me taking a bad trade, and taking a bad trade leads to me losing again, and so I lose way more than I'm supposed to, right? That's another. And then another thing is, like, if I do take an L, then that just, typically that would mean that, hey, I'm probably wrong about the direction of the market, or I'm probably just catching the wrong move. Might as well just call it a day, come back tomorrow, and if we're right about the markets, then awesome, we're gonna ride that wave, right? So yeah, I've been reflecting on it a lot, and I would say, like, the biggest issue for me has been just that, like, taking one trade a day and calling it a day at that point. That's definitely has been the biggest issue for me. Let's see. It looks like we're gonna get stopped out on this one. I kind of want to close it right now because I feel like it's probably gonna reach my SL. I guess it kind of depends. I don't know. And that's something as well. Like, I should do a little bit more often. Like, which is move my stops whenever I feel like it's not gonna play out. That's something I haven't done it because I feel like I'm not good at trading yet. I'm not that good. Like, well, I'm not really that good at all, actually, because I'm pretty much at the break even stage. But you get what I mean. I feel like I don't have enough experience for me to do that, because there's times where it'll bite me in the butt, not being able to move my stops. But there's also times where the trade does play out, and even if it comes, like, for example, if I would have, I think in this case I should have moved my stops here. I didn't, just because, like, I'm like, okay, maybe it could still play out. You know what I'm saying? But I think, like, me moving it there is not a bad idea, because, like, worst case scenario, I get stopped out. Now we just made this gap here, and then if it inverses, I could just re-enter the trade, because this is I wouldn't count this as an L. You know what I'm saying? This is like almost a break-even trade, pretty much. But yeah, but there has been many times where we almost closed below it. Yeah, we almost did. We haven't closed below it though. Dead things come alive. Dead things come alive in the name of Jesus. I want to say we're gonna enter on this trade if we inverse this gap. I feel like we're probably gonna get a nice drive as soon as we close below here. Now the issue is like if I enter, where am I gonna put my stops here? I guess. Yeah. Two, one, boom, boom. Every time I call your name, the gates. Okay, so we enter off of that. Now, we enter, by the way, pretty much like down in these areas. I added another position on there, but I'm putting the position that I added in here. I'm putting my stops on this, above this high. Because I mean, at the end of the day, there's no reason for price to come back up to there. Especially after we break these lows. Like if we break these lows, there's no reason for price to come back up to there. Yeah. Now, what I'm looking at is for price to inverse this gap. This is pretty important if we can inverse this gap. It should be able to, because typically what happens within gaps is that, you know, one or two things could happen, right? Either the gap is going to get inversed or the gap is going to have a reaction. Usually once I have a reaction, if price were to come back down to that same gap, it typically doesn't have the same reaction because the move already happened previously, right? So in this case, you see price comes down, reaction to the upside. If it does decide to come down to these areas, there's no reason for it to react off of this again. Or at least typically it doesn't react off of it. Like if the gap was already used, from my experience, right, from what I've seen on the market, being on the market every single day for the past like 3.5 months, what I've seen is like price just comes back down to it, and maybe it does like a small reaction, but it just keeps going down. You know, that small reaction is just like, it's just how price works, right? Like price is always going to be, typically is always going to be moving up and down. There's very rare like case scenarios where it just freaking blows up like this. Let's see if we can survive this 5 minute. That'll be pretty good at least. If we can survive this 5, maybe we'll see the next one drive. Ideally, man, I would like for this 1 minute to close below here. Ideally, but let's see what happens. It's just driving up, of course. Because if it closes below here, that would close as this 5 minute would close as an engulfing candle, which means there's a higher likelihood that the next candle is going to keep driving down, but it looks like it may not close above it. I mean, we'll see. It's about 14 seconds left on it. Okay, it didn't close below it, but it's not the end of the world, I think. Yeah, this 5 minutes is pretty important because this is the opening of a new hourly candle. So I'm curious to see what happens here. If it flips, it'll be huge, bro, because we just broke the highs on the 5 minute. Oh, we haven't broken the highs actually. At least we made a top wick. So if we just flip, that could be good, but it might stop us out here. How many seconds? We have 1 second left on it. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna get stopped out. Okay, we got stopped out on one position. How many was that? That's 400. Yeah, 600 left to see. This was 400. Okay. Yeah, so so I have this trade. If I do take this L, yeah, it's a new 5. I didn't notice that, but I mean, I think stops there were fine though. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with me having my stops there, because like either way, if it braces, it's very likely that's gonna come back up here. I'm just leaving this position open because there is a small chance that it flips back down, but very unlikely that it does happen. Yeah, I think like I'm probably just like, if this gets inverse again, I'm probably just gonna re-enter. We price to ideally come down to here, because this right here would be the flip of the 5 minute and the flip of the hourly and all that good stuff. So, and it should kind of drive a bit there. Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to see price inverses gap, but this is what I mean, right? Like if I would have put my stops here, I would have stopped out, whereas now there's a chance that the trade plays out. I didn't close below it, which sucks, because I can't really enter off of that. I have to wait. Okay, we should see a little bit of a drive here. Because like the thing is, like, I got in off of the inverse of this, right? So like I got in here. Me putting my stops up here is 50, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cooked, I would say, if it goes up there. don't know if you guys can hear my dogs literally snoring. It's crazy. Bro's living life. Same situation. Let's see if the price could come down to these areas and inverse it. Yeah, this is pretty much my last trade on my 100k account. I can maybe survive it on my 10k. Maybe. It's a big if. Big maybe. Yeah, I'll survive it on my 10k. But my 100k, if I do lose this, it's pretty much cooked. Yeah, price is having a hard time coming down to here. If we could close below here on the 5. If we close below here on the 5 minute, that'd be good. Last 1 minute on the 5. Let's see if we could close below that red line there. If we could just come down and break these lows, but brother. Okay, we flipped there. So this is a new 5. We closed below there, by the way. We closed below here, so that's good. So for all I know, price could potentially come back up to here. You know, retest this to then flip down. That could happen. So I wouldn't mind if price goes back up to there. I think the only level that I want to be careful at is like around here. Okay, we broke that line there. See if we could inverse the gap. That's so funny. Bro is taking the best nap of his life. Okay, new 5 minutes gonna come in. So here's the good news, okay? Good news is we saw this retest already happened. So I think potentially this next 5 could potentially keep driving down. So hopefully we completely inverse this gap. Because if we inverse this gap, not only are we inversing in 1 minute, but potentially we could inverse also the 5. Let's see. Okay. That's a good closure, actually. Okay, by the way, we inversed it on the 1 minute. Let's see if we can now inverse it on the 5. The fact that we inversed it on the 1 is good news. But if we can inverse it on the 5, that's even better news for us. Just, 2 minutes left on this 5. Let's see. Yeah, if we could close engulfing this candle right here, that'd be pretty awesome. I don't think we're gonna get it though, it looks like. We'll see. I mean, if we break this low, then we are, but if not... Okay. Hmm. So this is a new 5. Yeah, we didn't close below the gap on this one, on the 5, which really sucks. I still don't think it's the end of the world though. I think we could still see this next 5 just drive down, especially with how this closure looks and the fact that we inversed it at least on the 1 minute. I think that if we do come back down and break below these lows, I'm probably gonna break even if we do come back down, and just let the trade play out, because that way at least I could survive. If it, you know, if it does come back up, at least I could survive another day, you know, and try for tomorrow. So the same thing, I'm still looking for price to close below here. The next 1 minute is pretty important. Let's see what it does. Because if this 1 minute it just drives down, closes below here, then the 5 minute would close below the gap. But if it doesn't, then we're still within that gap, which kind of sucks because like we just don't want to be here, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, I don't like that. I do not like that at all, my friends. I think I'm gonna break even here, guys. I'm just gonna move myself to break even. I got a feeling that it's gonna drive up. Okay, I'm break even, by the way. The reason why I'm breaking even is because, I mean, we technically didn't inverse it, but we almost inversed this gap here. I just rather live to fight another day, you know what I mean? Either way, today's FOMC, so we want to be out of the trade pretty soon, you know? We're about to hit break even on one of my positions. One of my positions is right here. So I have my stops right there on the break even point. Okay, just hit. I'm still in the other one that I got it on top here. I want to say that was a good play because the way the price moved this candle up like that at the last minute, it's a bit scary. And then also 10:30 this Canada news, but I mean it'll probably still have a small effect here on the price action. The only reason why I had to break even, by the way, was because like I'm in a situation where I'm in pretty big drawdown, so I don't want to lose. I want to be able to fight another day tomorrow, right? And that's why I was pretty aggressive on the break even here. Like, if not, I would have just kept my stops where they were. But since I'm in the situation that I'm in, I have to play a little bit more safe. I haven't got it in yet, but I'm thinking of re-entering another position here if we inverse this gap. And the reason why is because we just reacted off of this. If we inverse this, there's no reason for price to react off of this. This is the last 1 minute on the 5. We broke those lows as well. That would be awesome if this last 5 minute could break it down for me. I'm not in on this, by the way. I'm just looking at possible entries. Okay, we're just kind of going up right now. We're about to hit our break even. So I wasn't expecting this reaction like that, but we're probably gonna get stopped out within this 5 minute. There's no reason for price to come back down now. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We created like relatively equal highs here, so very likely that one of these upcoming candles just dries up. Yeah. And I'm assuming the next 5 minutes is gonna go up. It's gonna grab these highs and then just drive up. Yeah, it also closed engulfing here on the 5. It would be like a miracle. It would be a miracle if we actually flip here, but I don't think so. I think we're probably just gonna hit break even. At least we live to trade another day. I think. Yeah, we do. Oh my god, no way. No heckin' way, bruv. Okay, we hit break even. Spread took us out on that. I mean, I think it's a fair play to break even there. I mean, I guess well, I don't know if I should have closed to here though. I think it was the right play to break even for sure. I think, and when I broke even was when I did when I saw the 5 minute uh, pretty much almost inverse this gap. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna break even on this. I think for today it was pretty good in general. Like, I mean, risk managed properly, did everything okay. I would say the only thing that did suck was the this first trade right here that I took after inversing a gap. I forgot it was, I think it was this inverse right here. So I entered on this here, boom, and I have my stops here. And price just came up, hit the stops. Basically, you just grab liquidity again, and then that's when the drive to the downside happened. I don't think I would have taken profits here ever. I think if anything, I would have considered taking profits halfway through here. But I think like being aggressive here on those break evens was a good idea. I think price is probably just gonna keep driving up at this point. If it did this, like, we closed literally below below the gap on the 1 minute, and then the 5 just like respected it, and a new 5 minute came in and reacted off of that gap. I should have maybe considered closing there. The thing is, just it's tough to say in those situations because it's kind of like 50-50. And in this case, I'd rather let it, just put my stops at break even and try to let it play out. And then I almost entered off of this, and I was waiting for better entries than just like getting in all the way down here, because stops would have been too big for me. So I was looking for better entries. So then I saw this big up candle, and I was like, I'm probably not gonna take this trade unless like this candle just completely flips to the downside or something. Well, turns out we just broke these highs, which is where I would have put my stops, and I would have gotten stopped out. I would say it was a pretty good day. I mean, we waited for everything. Everything was good. We broke even at good times. I feel like the reason why I'm breaking even is because I am in a situation where I have to be able to fight another day. Because if I would have kept this open and it it just drives up here, there's a pretty big chance that it excuse me, pretty big chance that I would lose my account, because then like now I could still squeeze in there maybe one, possibly two more trades. But if I would have lost this trade, I would have pretty much almost have been cooked. I could still take one more trade, but it would basically have to be like a perfect trade where I just go into no drawdown. So yeah, that's where we're at with it. I don't know if I would have broke even, like if I was in situations where I wasn't in drawdown like this. Would I have broke even? I think probably, honestly. Especially after us inversing this gap here. Because this is the gap that I was like looking out for, and if we would have inversed it, like I would have probably have gotten out on this. Yeah. I wasn't expecting this reaction either off of this gap. I was expecting price to just keep driving down. The reason why is because, so like the same thing that happened here, right? I was looking for price to kind of mirror the same situation that happened on this gap, where you can see price came up, right? It reacted off of the gap, like I mentioned. It typically does react off of the gap, but when it comes back down through that gap, it just inverses it. That happens very often. Now, in this scenario, it came down to the gap right here on this little candle, and then it had a little bit of reaction, not too crazy, but it did have a reaction. And then once price came back down, I was expecting price to keep driving down, but what it did, it came up. curious to see if this would have hit my stop loss. I mean, for today, since I only lost this one trade over here, I only lost 0.4%, which is it's basically nothing. I mean, it's like break even at that point. Still sucks because I was almost like I was like at 150 dollars in profits. Like I was like 1.5% in profit, like down in these areas. But again, I just don't see myself closing it there. Like there's no reason for me to close that there, because one, we inverse this gap. So like my thought process, okay, we inverse this gap, there's pretty much no reason for price to come back up. Obviously price does whatever it wants to do, but like from my knowledge, like if we just inverse this gap, there's no reason for price to come all the way back up to these areas. So like I would just put my stops to break even, and I would have potentially have taken out my take profit. Would have probably have been around these areas, like in the middle of this gap. Depends on how I would have reacted there. And yeah, but I think the issue was as well, like, because like technically the trade is still valid. You know what I'm saying? The trade is still technically valid. Like, I mean, is it though? Yeah, it kind of is still valid if you look at it from the 5 minute. Like the only valid stop loss right now that you have is up here. So there is a chance that this could still play out. There is a small chance. But again, I'm just not willing to risk it. Like if I was in another scenario where I wasn't in drawdown and, you know, I'm willing to lose whatever amount I'm trying to, I'm risking here. Like, I will say, like, if I... Oh, excuse me. I will say if I enter... If I scale, I think scaling in position is kind of sucky. Kind of sucks in a way because it forces me to put my stops in situations where I don't really want to put them there, but I just have to because, for example, in this case, right, like we inverse this gap, I could have put my stops up here, but I feel like what felt right was to put it here. But I think if I'm gonna scale in a position, I have to be okay with the risks that I'm going in with, right? So in this scenario, I should have been okay with this. I mean, that's pretty much 100 and something, so that's like 1%. It's not too bad. But I put it here. I mean, the thing is, like, right now I'm making, like, I'm having to be somewhat aggressive on stops because of the drawdown, right? That's the issue. And like same thing with break evens and stuff. Like, just have to be more aggressive with it because I'm in drawdown, and I want to make sure that I'm able to at least try to fight another day tomorrow. You know. So yeah, I mean, it was a good day. I think all in all, it was a pretty good day. Yeah, dude, like, in general, it was a pretty good day. I mean, I still think the trade may still be valid, you know. It's just it's a lower chance. I think I would have for sure, even if I wasn't in drawdown, I would have very likely hit break even here, because what's scary is like this reaction here off of this gap. That's pretty scary to me. And then the fact that we like inverse this gap here. Once I saw that, I'm like, okay, we're probably gonna get cooked, because we inverse this gap, and then not only that, we also made a gap here, and then this candle reacted off of this off of the gap. So price is starting to respect bullish structure, and that's when you gotta be very careful. So yeah, I'm honestly, I would have probably hit break even. It's very, it could still, again, the trade could still play out because it's technically still valid. It's not invalid until we actually break above these highs. But it's just less of a likelihood that it does play out at this point. Like if you look on the 5-minute, to me the only valid stop loss that we do have is above here on the 5-minute. Now once we come back down and let's say we break below these lows, then now I can move my stops to here, because now we broke this low and then there's no reason for price to flip back up and break the highs. I don't know what I would have very likely broken even here, by the way. I'm just kind of like analyzing, seeing what how it is. Pretty nuts though. Pretty big moves to the upside too. Like this is ridiculous, bro. 928, 929. Like this is a 256 tick move to the upside. That's just ridiculous. We had a pretty decent move to the downside too, but I just couldn't take advantage of it. I mean, it's not even, yeah, it's not even that much. Again, I feel like I did the right thing of not closing here, because there was really no confirmation for me to close here. I mean, maybe this liquidity here, yeah, but didn't even hit that liquidity, so I would argue that I would have probably have closed here, like in the middle of this, probably. Yeah, not bad though, not bad. Took one trade again. You know, okay, I technically scaled in positions, like, and I lost that trade. So I technically took more than one trade, but in terms of, we took one trading setup, which is what we want to do. You know, scaling in position is fine. I think I should probably start getting rid of that though. I feel like I should just get in with whatever I'm willing to risk, and that's it. Because scaling in position is just one is way, like, it's kind of stressful because you're having to, you're having to adjust your stops at times because you're not willing to risk. Because, like, for example, if I would have gotten in, let's say in the scenario where I would have gotten in, like, maybe down here, maybe I'm not willing to risk, you know, this amount. Maybe I'm willing to risk this but not this. In this case, again, it would have still played out, but it could happen like what happened here, where price just comes up, stops me out, and then it starts to play out. And this scenario here, I've noticed it has happened so many times, where I'll put my stops in a place where it's, you know, it's not my original stop loss. It'll go and hit that stop, but then it wouldn't hit my original stop loss and then flip and play out, you know. But look, guys, breaking even was the right play there, man. I had a feeling, because once you see price start inversing bearish gaps, that's when you want to be very careful, because at that point it's disrespecting the bearish structure and it's respecting bullish structure at that point, or it's creating bullish structure. That's when you want to be very careful, boys. Yeah, pretty good, honestly. I'm pretty happy about today. We only lost 0.4%. It still sucks that we did lose, because right now 0.4% actually kind of hurts the account, because I only got a few trades in me. But it's about it for today, guys. It's about it. We'll call it a day. So far, I think, like, honestly, hitting this I guess rock bottom on my account has enlightened me into, like, doing what I'm supposed to do, you know, which is this. Like, I should just be taking one trading setup. I should probably get rid of the idea of skinning in positions, because that makes me put my, you know, whatever position I scale in, it makes me put it in a stop loss that I'm not really that comfortable with. Okay, so I should probably get rid of that, and which I will probably get rid of it. You know, I don't know. I will probably get rid of it though. I think right now I'm okay with scaling in right now because again I'm in drawdown and I don't want to like be in a situation where I just get in here, let's say, and then price just flips up and stops me out. Because I think that was the whole idea of scaling in positions, to avoid those kind of losses. But since I'm only taking one trade, I might as well, you know, once I'm actually back into like my regular, once I'm back to like let's say break even, I could just go with the risk that I feel comfortable with, which is like 1%. And if it doesn't play out, I just call it a day. Because I'll show you guys the, I'm gonna put here, I'll show you guys the screenshots here real quick of my trades. Let me just take this real quick. So basically lost like 0.4%. Like a perfect example would have been this. I'll show you what I mean by that. 0.4%. Boom. So I think, is this the 1 minute? Yeah, this is the 1 minute. Okay. So right here we had inversed. I think it was a gap. This gap right here. So I was looking for buys in this scenario because we took the, I think it was the previous New York session lows, as well as the London lows or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but we took those. So like the idea was like, okay, I'm gonna look for buys. It didn't play out. Now there's another possible entry on this inverse gap right here. Like old me would have been like still looking for a trade, trying to make this up. There was an inverse gap here. This trade, I could try to find that. It was like around 10 something. Let's see. Tuesday around 10. Okay, I think it was here. Alright. Oh, okay, it's here. Okay, so that trade was, let me just look at it real quick. Okay. Okay, it was this one right here. Okay, this is the one that I was trying to show you guys. So like I lost the trade, right? I took the inverse of, I think it was this gap. No, it must have been this one then. Yeah, it was this gap right here. The inverse of that gap. Boom. I took that, you know, freaking, it stops me out. Old me would have still kept looking, right? So we see price. What does price do here? It makes a gap here. What does price do? It inverses that gap. So I would have, like old me would have gotten in on this. So I would have lost here. Right? I would have taken the L again. And like you know, you could argue like, okay, maybe I would have gotten in on this. And like this would have maybe, this would have, you know, played out. Or who knows? Yeah, it would have played out. But the idea is like, in this case, it would have played out. But what most of the time what does happen is like I just go into this sort of roller coaster of like, hey, I'm gonna take this trade. Okay, I lost. I'm gonna take another trade to try to make it back. Like I'll show you. I mean, I'll show you the screenshots here. Let's see. Look, perfect example, right? So we took this first trade. You know, we took the L. We took the second trade. We took the L. First trade, we took the L. Second trade, we took the L. This one I took. This one I took the L because I was scaling in positions. I would have just kept my stops up here, and then I forced this first trade here. So I took 2 L's there, right? Same thing here. First trade, I took the L. Second trade, take the L. But when I take W's, it's just like one trade, boom, plays out. And it's typically my first trade. This trade I broke even, but then the next one I played out. right? Same thing here. Look, this is a perfect example, right? So first trade, boom, plays out, but guess what happens? Guess what happens here? Boom. I got stopped out here. I didn't lose as much because I moved because I scaled in positions here. I had to put my stops above here. But like I would have still got it now with more percentage if I would have just kept it at this trade, you know. Look at this. Look how many trades I took here, bro. Like this is the things that I'm scared of, right? For this to happen, where I just get stuck in this cycle of like, okay, I'll take another trade, another trade, another trade. Just crazy. Like look, in this scenario it paid off, right? But this is in this scenario, yeah, this scenario it paid off. Like, but how many scenarios did I just show you guys where it didn't pay off for me to take 2 trades? Look, right here, 2 trades. Look, one L, second L. Oh my god, get out of here. Look, same thing, 2 trades, L. First trade, W. 2 trades, one W, one L. Or sorry, one L, one W. This is when I was trading like a little bit of a different strategy. Look, first trade played out. 2 L's. So like when I take an L, usually the second is an L. Like look, 2 trades, first L, second L. Like it's pattern recognition, right? So I'm noticing that. It's like all I have to do to be profitable is literally just take 1 trade. That's it. Just take 1 freaking trade and that's it. And call it a day from then. But like look, for example, now that I'm taking 1 trade, look at my L's, right? Look at my L's. 2.8%, 0.4%. So it's like instead of me losing 3%, 2%, 2.9%, I'm just taking my 1% L's and that's it. Like, and then when I do win, you know, typically I'll secure at least 2 to 3%, so you can see. So bro, it's just a matter of like limiting your trades and just taking 1 trade a day and that's it. I'm just talking to myself there, but yeah, anyways, enough of my yapping around. I'm done for today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.